threat of disaster is never pleasant.
Welcome to the Casual Preppers podcast.
These safety measures are essential.
The only place for prepping, survival, and entertainment.
This will be your source of survival instructions and information. Every member of the family must be coached in the business of survival.
Here are your hosts, Cam and Kobe.
Oh, Cameron. How are you today, buddy?
Good.
Good to hear.
Grand day for a podcast.
It really is. It's kind of weird because we've done 2 days in a row of podcasting.
Yeah,
we don't usually do that because Cam's going to be gone.
Yeah.
Omicron or whatever, right?
Yeah. I'm going to the ground zero.
You are.
Of the new coronavirus.
Pretty sweet, right? But what are we talking about today, Cam?
I think this is kind of an interesting topic. Mm-hmm. You got your nice little home. You want to be safe.
Yeah.
But you've got to consider those around you.
You do.
And how they can be part of that plan of protection. So we're going to talk about some neighborhood security.
Yeah. And maybe we're talking about SHTF, maybe not. But yeah, neighborhood security, right?
Yeah. So
good stuff.
Sounds great.
It really does.
Get a badge.
Huh?
Walk around your neighborhood every night.
HOA marshal.
Yeah.
Something like that. Before we get going, though, I got to tell you about Battlebox. It is the monthly subscription box for men, women, children of all ages, full of solid gear for adventure seekers, survivalists, outdoor enthusiasts, and casual preppers. Each month, Battlebox sends you the coolest selection of handpicked outdoor survival and everyday carry gear, all valued at far more than what you'd normally pay. You never know what's in the next box, but here's a sampling of what users received this month. The LED Lenser ML6 750 lumen lantern. Boy, that thing is cool. Kern showed it to us last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever. Pretty rad. Then we got the Rapid Pure Pioneer straw. Boy, that's cool too.
Yeah.
All this badassness start to just $30 a month. They've shipped almost 42 trillion boxes and one Best Men's subscription box of 2017. Our listeners get a free knife when you sign up at trybattlebox.com/casualpreppers. That is trybattlebox.com/casualpreppers. Get your first BattleBox plus a free knife when you go to trybattlebox.com/casualpreppers.
Listener reviews starts now.
You can give that knife away for a present.
You totally could.
Just do it.
One of your neighbors.
Yeah. Perfect podcast.
Yep. We're done.
That's it.
We've reached perfection.
Yeah.
It's over.
I read this and I was like, it almost sounds like we wrote this.
I swear to you, we did not read.
Yeah.
We did not make any of
This
these
is not
up.
us
These are all real.
towards ourselves.
Yeah.
All the other podcasts about prepping are way too serious, only focusing on two things. More 5.56, more 9mm.
That's funny.
It's refreshing to listen to something a little more uplifting, especially when it focuses on things across the spectrum and isn't just a bunch of special forces wannabes in a basement stockpiling ammo waiting to be somebody in a Hollywood-style apocalypse. Keep up the great content. Thanks for the hamster farm idea. Now I have a gift for any occasion.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Echo 346.
Yeah.
They
That
got like
is
a
not
super
our
military
alias.
name,
I know.
which is awesome.
That's true.
Echo 346. But if you guys want to be a part of this portion of the podcast, go to iTunes, go to Facebook, go to the Kindle book on Amazon, leave us a 5-star review, and make it awesome.
It's a mad, mad world.
You're releasing this one today, right?
No, next week.
Oh, is this next week's?
Yep.
Well, it's possible that if you're listening to this, this didn't come to pass.
Okay.
I thought this was pretty funny, though.
Okay.
Bento Sushi in Washington put on its sign. It says, Internet ends 1202-2021, which is 12/2/21.
Wow.
That's today.
Crap.
Today that we are recording this podcast. So hopefully there is no loss of internet. But they're like, why would they put this on a sushi sign?
That is kind of
it's
odd.
super weird. And these are some of the comments on Twitter. The internet ends Thursday, which is 12/2. Apparently, so get ready, I guess. Damn it. I was just getting the hang of it. Hasta la vista, baby.
That's funny.
Well, folks, this is it. This is where the internet ends. Could you imagine?
Oh my gosh, I know.
So yeah. Anyways, a bunch of people snapped photos of it and sent it because it has it posted
That's hilarious.
just like this, like Look how confusing. It just shows it like not in any like address or form.
Oh, it's just that is weird.
So it's like
Yeah.
some random little place in Washington just posted that the internet
It's
ends.
fantastic marketing.
So
It really is.
Yeah, their name is out there big time.
It is. I want some sushi now.
But this may never get heard.
This might be just us doing this for ourselves.
Yeah. So
Which it's always
hopefully
been.
your internet still exists
Yeah.
and you're listening to this right now. But what if the internet ended? Would it be good or bad?
I don't know. Somewhere in between.
Shopping this
Probably.
right now before Christmas would be horrible.
It would be
But
bad.
after that,
Not too bad.
I don't know, we'd be all right.
Except for no podcasts.
So yeah,
That'd be bad.
yeah,
So
that's a podcast idea.
it is. No internet. Yeah.
No internet apocalypse.
I had an article from New York Times, and now it won't let me log in because I don't have access to it. So I had to go find it somewhere else, of course. But this happened this last week, and this is going to be like 2 weeks ago.
I saw a picture of this, but I didn't read anything
Did you?
about it.
Yeah. So a snowstorm stranded an Oasis tribute band, bar patrons, and employees for 3 days at an inn. I mean, that sounds like a mini series from, Hallmark or something. I don't know. But so I'm going to try and read through this without doing a bunch of extra stuff I don't need to because I haven't read this article specifically yet. So dozens of pub goers, an Oasis tribute band, and others aren't looking back in anger, even though they were stranded at an English inn for nearly 3 days because of a snowstorm. The tribute band Noasis, get it? Noasis was scheduled to perform Friday night at the Tan Hill Inn in Richmond, England, more than 200 miles northwest of London.
I didn't know it snowed very much in London.
It does, apparently. They didn't know the weather would shut down the roads and bring down power lines.
Dang.
Yeah. The inn calls itself United Kingdom's highest pub because it is more than 1,700 feet
Whoa.
above sea level. Hey, slow down there. Stretch.
So weird to think, like, if we were to line up where we
I
live
know.
with that. It's like
It's insane.
4,000
right?
feet different.
The snow left more than 60 people stranded, including 7 inn employees. Although some of the stranded people had booked rooms at the inn, others slept on the floor and couches in the lounge, which is kind of
Isn't that what happens at pubs anyway?
I would think so, yeah. But there was a couple of people, like an area mountain rescue group, helped evacuate a man for medical treatment. Of
course.
He had diabetes probably. hadn't had soda. In 2
Hasn't
days.
listened to our podcast.
Hasn't listened to the podcast yet. They had 3 feet of snow on Saturday morning, that's a lot of freaking snow. Yeah, I get now why.
In a wet, humid area? Oof,
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be bad.
But, they had a ton of food in there. They had an Oasis band, so they just listened to Oasis for like ever. And they finally got out of there. But on Monday, 50 people were still there, which is crazy.
That's
So
crazy.
it was quite the deal.
You never know.
You just never know
You
when
could
you're
go
going
to
to
a
get
pub
stuck.
and be stuck.
Yeah. So I just thought that was kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
You
I saw
know.
a picture of it, and it didn't look like a lot of snow,
Yeah.
but I was like, man, that's a big deal, huh?
But you just don't know. That's why you got to have your EDC. You
Yeah,
got to have
you
your
do.
communications plan. You
Yeah.
got to let people know where you're going. I'm going to see Noasis,
Yeah.
people. I might be stuck.
EDC always saves the day.
It really does.
I went to a Christmas party. No
did?
one.
Uh-huh.
We had like amazing prime rib, and no one had a knife. We
Yeah.
had no plastic knives.
Were people
But
just
I-
like picking up the slabs and
They
eating
just
it?
waited until somebody went and got
I
some.
think I'm just stabbing it with a fork.
I
and
would be
eating it,
too.
Probably.
But yeah, I had my
pretty funny.
Leatherman, and so
Yeah.
I was eating and just looking at them all like, you idiots."
idiots.
And they said, of course you haven't. I was from prepper. And I'm like, well, that's why I'm a prepper.
Exactly. Look at you idiots over there hungry, salivating.
But yeah, but it was great. It
That's
was
good
great.
stuff. So, Cam, let's talk about neighborhood security. We're talking about like kind of everyday neighborhood security. We're talking about neighborhood security in an SHTF event.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of where it gets more hairy. You know what I mean? Where it really becomes the thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And most of us probably live in some sort of a neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even in a real rural
Mm-hmm.
place, if you're lucky enough to have the land, you usually have some houses along that roadway.
Sure.
That your neighbors and
And Cam and I live in each of us live in perfect neighborhoods for this type of thing that we're talking about.
we're in a rural
today.
town, but we're in a subdivision.
Yes,
and
regional
so
subdivisions.
We have very close neighbors,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I mean, there's several names for this. If you want to be freaking cool about it, you
Mm-hmm.
can call it the Neighborhood Protection Plan, the MPP.
You down with MPP?
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
you could be the Survival Neighborhood Coalition. I like that one.
Ooh, yeah.
That's the SNP.
SNC.
Or see, I made a different.
Yeah.
It's a silent P.
Yeah. PC. Yeah.
Or you can just call it a ward if you're a church member like
right,
us.
yeah.
But yeah, whatever you call it,
Uh-huh.
it's something you have to consider in SHTF. We've talked multiple times about like the lone wolf method, you know, and in this case, it would be like the lone pack, you know, like
Oh,
your
yeah.
family, because you wouldn't be coordinating with neighbors and stuff. And the same thing is, it would be way more difficult, and your likelihood of staying alive if you're not like collaborating with other people,
Right.
it's just a lot.
Well, and it's just
weaker.
like, I mean, you're living right next to these people.
Yeah.
Right? That's
You
the whole
can't
point.
ignore that they're there when
Yeah.
all of us are suffering. something.
Exactly. So that's kind of the point of this. Like, they're right next to you, man. You got to figure out something one way or the other.
Right.
Right.
So that's what, you know, we kind of wanted to get into, you know, a little bit here. Like, what are the starting points of getting to that point? Because it's not like you can go, you know, knock on your neighbor's door and be like, hey, guess what? I'm a prepper. I knew you probably knew that. I want you to be part of my plan. Let's protect each other.
Yeah.
And let's share families and wives. No, I'm just kidding.
Now you eat this bread and I'm going to drink this water. We are now one. You know what I mean?
How about you focus on storing all the water? I'll store all the bread and
That's right.
candy and stuff. But yeah, no, it's something that you really like need to take time. It's something I haven't spent much time thinking about. I'm like, Kobe's in the other neighborhood. That's my only neighbor.
Yeah, that's
Got all the others in between.
It's a hard thing to do.
I'm not going to deal with.
It really is a hard thing to do.
But we luckily do live in neighborhoods that I think are good people.
Yeah.
I don't feel concerned about any of my neighbors. I've lived in places where
I'm
I'm
slightly
terrified.
concerned, but not like a lot.
Right.
You know.
You're more concerned probably about the weirdness.
Yeah, there's some
of like
weirdos.
people. Let's hang out. Let's stay in
I
the
hope my
basement
neighbors
together.
are listening.
Yeah, I highly doubt it.
You weirdos.
But yeah, no, like my neighbors, I feel pretty confident. But
Right.
you just never know. You need to get them. You need to get to know or kind of
Yeah.
know which ones to avoid.
And it's a
things like that.
process.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're just not going to have a barbecue, invite them all over, and then plan for the apocalypse.
Right.
Probably not. If you can, that's
We're
great.
having a barbecue tonight. Whatever firearms you have,
Bring 'em
bring
with
them
you.
over. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Bring over your
7:00 p.m. sharp. But anyways, so yeah, let's get
Yeah.
into kind of the first steps of getting to that point.
Yeah, so as you get started and you're thinking about security for like your neighborhood post SHTF or during SHTF or even before that, you have to think about your personal security, right? It has to start there. You can't just be like, well, I'm going to let everybody else, we're all going to do it together. You have to start with your home, yourself, because if you don't have that figured out, good luck trying to get your neighborhood figured out. It's going to be a mess.
Some neighborhoods already have that plan of like, well, my neighbor's
Yeah.
got a lot of stuff. I'll just plan on him taking care of everything.
That's the thing. You just don't know. So you have to have that personal security plan. So you have to start there, but you have to do this analysis, but kind of before you get going. You need to kind of have a personal risk assessment done.
Yeah.
You know, and we've talked about this a few times, but do you live in the city? Do you live out in the boonies? You know, what people can you rely on or count on in an SHTF scenario that are around you? And maybe, are you going to take the lead? Is somebody else? You know, these are things you need to assess before you get going. What issues should you be prepping for because they're going to be the most likely to happen? Again, this is that personal risk assessment. Do you need to worry about wildfires? Do you need to worry about hurricanes? Or is it earthquakes? You know, whatever it is, understand this before you get moving forward with your security plan. Do you have a military background? Or, you know, as a member of the military, are you one of those people that study military subjects all the time? You know, and this includes like leadership, management, firearms, tactics, like all across the board.
Yeah.
Where are you at with those things? What kind of physical shape are you in? Because again, as a security plan, that's a piece of it.
Yeah.
You got to be able to, you know, run, walk, jump, punch, kick, all those kind of things.
Scream. Yeah.
For sure. That's number one. Game's like, I got my screaming down. I'm just going to scream.
I've got like high alert scream.
Yeah.
We got like, I'm okay. I need help over here.
Yeah.
Scream.
I got like, I'm taking a shit and it's not good. Scream. My wife knows all of them.
The bowling pin turns, what I call it.
The bowling pin.
Comes out and you're like, oh, that's pretty good. And then
Whoa.
boom.
Yeah.
That's a hurty one.
That's a hardy one. Yeah. So you gotta be physically fit in some way, shape, or form. And then do you understand self-defense? Do you understand? We talked about the firearms. Those are all kind of different things. But what are the limiting factors that you might be faced with? Is it financial? I know that's a tough one for a lot of people, for most people, to be honest with you. Is it geographical issues? Is there medical issues? Again, physical, mental, all those kind of things. Are there maybe legal considerations you need to think about with local building codes and those types of things? Because you can only do so much, you know, or HOAs. They're all limitations in some way that you might have to get around, right? And then, like, what shape is your home in? What are, you know, what current pros and cons does it provide? Does it have a security system now? Is there a fence, cameras, what kind of trees, and you know, what's your location? Like, all those types of things you should consider as you're doing this analysis before you make this plan, right?
Right.
So the plan is the next thing. Before you start, you know, building your castle or whatever it is you're going to do, you have to have a plan. It's going to save you work, it's going to save you money, and it's going to save you time in the long run. So start thinking about a few things right here. Determine what it is you want to protect. Because a lot of people have, you know, different buildings on their property. Maybe there's a, you know,
side by side
in the back.
Keep that
sure.
protected.
My Trump flag is number 1. That is up there.
If I put like 16 out, I doubt anybody will mess with me.
Yeah, exactly. Or Biden flags. Either way. Right?
Yeah. You're good there too.
What is
put up General Washington flag?
Ooh, yeah.
Just go from the start.
Right in the middle. Oh, yeah. Everybody agrees with old GW.
Yeah.
What is critical to meeting your prepping goals? You know, you might
Taft.
decide.
I'm going to President Taft flags. It's like the most random, useless.
I know. That would be cool.
That's your favorite, huh?
That's the guy you went with? Great. Yeah. He's my guy. You might decide that, you know, protecting your garage isn't super important, but, you know, protecting your basement bunker is your number one thing. Or maybe your hamster farm is your number one thing.
Yeah.
You know, because those things are
People
precious.
want to steal those hamsters.
Yes. So
I want all the females.
I don't know if that was gross or what, but I didn't
that
enjoy
way.
it
Just
either way.
Would have been better if I said I want all the males.
I don't know. Probably. Either way.
I'm meaning for breeding your hamsters, not for other gross crap.
Your hamsters. I don't. Yeah. I'm not sure how to.
I'll take that comment back.
Yeah. That never happened.
Can you erase that in
Yeah.
post-production?
I'll try. What are you protecting against? And you need to be realistic here. If you live out in the frickin' boonies, you're not going to worry about like those roving gang hordes, you know. Like
Hordes?
Hordes. Like the Bloods and the Crips coming in and, you know, stealing stuff. Probably not, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to be worried more like the lone wolf or like a small group of people coming by. So that's
It's so different in the different like areas that you be in. Because it's like when I was downtown.
Is that what you said?
I don't know, probably.
The different areas you be in. That's what I heard.
I'm pretty sure that's what I said. But like, yeah, like being in, you know, the suburbs or an urban environment, that's terrifying to me. I'm not used to that, but there are some scarier groups there. But in the rural areas, it's like every one of them has a gun.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and it's like
there's nobody to call.
No.
You can't yell to your neighbors, hey, I'm getting raped. They're taking my hamsters. You know, like you can't because it's
they
just you.
come to raid your house in a freaking forklift.
Forklift. Yeah. It's a
loader. A loader.
Forklift.
A loader.
I drove this forklift from Salt Lake. It took me 6 weeks.
Hey, it's anything they could get.
Yeah, it's true. You're right.
Stack the bags on the front. Just gonna back up.
Put all the hamsters on there right now. You got a pallet?
Yeah.
So
it was a weird vehicle, okay?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so just
an armored forklift, okay?
Yeah, that's the stuff.
Tires never pop.
No, they don't. You're true. You're true. Where you be at?
Let's start this over.
You know, what level of protection do you want or do you need? Again, it goes back to do you want to make sure your shed has like A1 protection? Same as your home? Probably not, right? You see, you know, determine those things. And what constraints do you have to work with? You might want to have that moat and drawbridge at your house.
That'd be awesome.
With the alligators around it, right? But your zoning commission might say that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So you have to look at those things, right? And so
HOA number 1, no moat.
No moat. Crocodiles, not alligators.
Razor sharp barbed wire. No.
Then go over the pros and cons, again, of surviving alone versus making it a go as a neighborhood. Those are kind of a lot of things you need to think about as you're moving forward with some sort of a security plan for you and your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's super huge.
That's what she said.
Right now, everybody's doing some shopping. Going online, trying to find that good product, that good price. Going to websites that's, like extra fun key.
Femalehamsters.com.
Yeah. Garter belts. Garter belts for, you go to those weird websites, you never know.
Yeah.
And you never know what information is being
Garter belts. That's what you came up with.
I was trying to think of some random website name like that you go to. You're like, I think this is a legit website.
Garterbelts.info. That's the one.
.edu.
Yeah.
Anyways, you're looking for stuff you can't find. You go to weird websites. You don't want your stuff to be stolen.
I don't.
And so there's a way
Yeah.
that you can protect yourself and your computer and your information online.
How?
I think my computer died.
You got to go to Surfshark, right?
Yes. Yeah, thank you.
You can protect yourself with Surfshark VPN.
Yeah.
Right?
What does it do?
It does a whole bunch of stuff, right?
It does.
Like what?
It will cloak you online. Basically,
Oh, really?
It makes it seem as though you're in France surfing on the internet in China.
Yeah.
But no, virtual private networks give you the protection as every prepper would want
Sure.
in real life. Like go gray man online.
Yeah.
That's the best thing you can do.
I agree.
The reason I like Surfshark, one, their app and their application on the computer is like super easy to use.
And it's clean and it looks nice.
Yeah. It also has a kill switch, which means if you're using your Surfshark to protect yourself and it disconnects from the server, it will kill your internet.
That's great.
So you can't just search unprotected.
Internet dies today anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Today's the last day.
the other thing I really love about Surfshark is that one subscription, not prescription, will give you protection on any device that connects to the internet.
That's beautiful.
It's freaking amazing.
I love it.
If you don't even know what I'm talking about, which is probably 100% of you,
Most likely.
just get it and try it.
100%
30 days.
100% of the time.
Yeah, 100%. If you don't know what's going on and what, probably didn't even understand the word I said.
Yeah.
It's called Surfshark. Just try it out. 30 days.
Yeah.
Money back guarantee.
Boom.
But I'm telling you, $60, little less than $60 with our code Casual Preppers at surfshark.com. You can try it.
Surfshark.deals/casual preppers.
Sorry, yeah.
That's where you want to go.
My computer died, I think.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm using a new one. I apologize for this. But yeah, see, don't go Microsoft. It's all weird.
It always screws you up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so go to surfshark.deals/casual preppers. You're going to try it
I
free.
think they have a deal right now,
Free.
too, where you can get the additional email protection.
Oh, nice.
For $1 for an entire...
Oh, that's worth it.
$1 a month for an entire year. Yeah, they're great. It's easy to use. It's the best one out there. Don't bother with anybody else.
Yes.
I paid my own money to get this subscription, and I use it all the time. I use it at work.
It's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
I use it at church. It's the best place to get your identity stolen.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a mess of a ad.
We got through it, though.
So, the next step is your actual home. Like, what ways can you protect your home from, intruders or looters or things like that?
That rhymes.
So you need it does. It's a poem I wrote. That's the end.
That's a great poem. I bet that gets published somewhere.
For sure.
Intruders and looters.
I should start a Casual Preppers poem book.
Dude,
Poems.
we really should.
Poems by Casual Preppers. Poems.
Quips and limericks. I don't know.
This is a little teeny manual that
Yeah.
sits in your pocket. But you have a lot of different ways to protect your home. You don't need to go all out, dig a moat, things like that.
But you can.
But you can,
Yeah.
depending on your neighborhood, depending on where you live. So some of the most important things that you can do and to assess your home is to kind of look at it as if you were to actually, invade it yourself. Sounds weird, but you look at your home and think about all the ways. Yes, you know your home, you know where the weakness is, but like think of it as if I'm going to get into that home, where am I most likely to go?
Front door.
What way to get in?
Front door.
Where are most of the supplies going to be stored? Does it have a basement? Am I going to check there if I was to, be a looter? So that helps you to protect your home a little bit better.
Okay.
And then to get even more weird, is you can ask your neighbor, hey, if you were to raid my home,
Can't imagine.
if you were to raid my home, where would you go first?
I got to ask you something, Jim. Think about it. At midnight, you just got home from the bar. You looked over at my house and you said, hey, I want to get in there.
I really would like one of those guns.
How would you do it?
He has Battlebox galore now.
Yeah. You're a looter. You're an intruder. How you gonna do it? Yeah, that'd be.
I know it sounds stupid, but it might help you
Yeah.
to protect your home a little
Maybe
bit
I'll
better.
just try and come and get in your house one night, Cam, just for you. And once I get in there, tell
Just
Tawny,
come downstairs and you're sitting there eating a bowl of cereal. How the hell did you get in here?
you got some holes in this plan, bro. And you're out of milk.
I'll be honest. I thought I'd be way more secured than this.
To be honest, I've been here for 3 days. You haven't even noticed.
You made me a bowl of cereal for school. Did you know? Did you even know it was me?
I made half the fruit snacks, bro.
You wonder why the guest bed's always got sheets off? Well, I've been sleeping in it.
You talked to my wife lately? Because I hadn't seen her for 3 days.
But that's one weird thing that you could do to kind of help understand the holes in your system.
Yeah, sure.
But you want to think first about the number one thing is protecting yourself, protecting second, your gear and your items and your food, and then third, the home itself.
Where's the family come in?
Well, that's you and your family.
Okay, you just said you.
Did I?
Yeah.
Well,
So I just
you
wanna
as
make sure.
in like in general, your whole family. Okay.
Great.
Well, number one's always you.
Yeah. Of
Think
course.
about yourself first. Yeah, I meant to have family in there.
Okay.
So there's a whole bunch of different ways you can actually. I think we had a whole episode on home security. And there's a ton in there. So just some of the basic stuff is to like think about what ways you would defend your home if there was that problem going on. One, we'll get into the most important thing is having like the neighborhood be all in the same, on the same plan of like protecting each other, watching over things. But you got to consider the place that you're most likely to be you're going to bug in. You're going to stay in your own home. And so what ways in eliminating the neighbors from that plan, considering how are you going to protect everything? One of the little nuclear defense things, the time, the distance, the shielding, that's kind of an important thing to look at when you're considering home defense. One, how long or how hard is it going to be and how much time for them to get in and to be a problem for you? What kind of countermeasures and things you can use. I haven't talked about countermeasures in a
Been
long
a
time.
while, man.
It has been.
Jeez.
It's been a wet dream forever. Got over that one.
Yep.
But what ways to kind of extend that time to give you more time
Yeah.
that you need to put in place?
That's why we just don't clean our house.
right.
It's so hard
That's
to
why
get in.
the people that leave like couches and broken down cars in their yard, genius.
Yeah, you walk by, it's like,
This
oh, I
is
need to sit
obstacle.
down.
It's like a paintball
Yeah.
field out there.
Exactly.
But that gives you too the distance. That the next thing is like the distance is like keeping people more visible before they can even get to your walls and your doors and things like that. You can pick them off before they even get close. And there's different ways to do that to not look extreme. But I'm not going to that right now.
Okay.
And then shielding, once they get in, what ways are you going to keep your family safe? Is it going to be an exit plan? Is it going to be, you're all going to huddle in the basement behind like a vault door that you've installed or something like that?
That'd be cool.
It would be sweet. But you also got to make sure that you have an exit plan. Because the scariest thing for me is people breaking in and they know you're in the basement. And you always see those shows where they grab the lantern and they're like,
Yeah. That's why
and
you
it
don't have
starts on fire.
lanterns.
Yeah, you don't
All
have
mine are LED.
But if you,
It's pretty tough.
But if you get trapped down there with the fire and didn't have an exit plan, that's like the
Or you
worst.
get trapped down there, you got to take a number 2.
Yeah, that's
You know?
why I installed
That's
toilet
why
down there.
I'm so scared of it.
Yeah. That's why you leave one floor missing, so it's dirt.
Yeah.
You dig it up, make a big old cat hole
Cat hole.
for all your family.
Exactly.
But these are just like a lot of the basic things to consider. When it comes to like securing your home itself, you can install stronger doors, consider windows, and
Consider getting windows.
consider protecting windows.
Okay.
Consider the windows and
Yeah.
what kind of security issues you could have with
If you
those.
don't have windows, consider getting some.
This is Brazil.
Yeah.
You just have curtains and
Yeah.
but those are, half the time mine are unlocked. I always check.
Oh, yeah.
They're not now, they're locked now.
Yeah.
But when you have kids, they always open and leave a window open.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get those little things that allow just
Yeah.
your window open like a quarter of the way so
You mean
people
wood
can't
dowels?
crawl through.
Those are the
Crawl
easiest way.
through.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are some basic little security things to, protect your family. Some items that I looked up that I actually thought were pretty dang cool that I wanted to mention. Number one, shotgun. That's all you need. The end.
Exactly.
But no, you've got to consider those things. If somebody were to come in, what are you going to do? Are you going to stay and try and defend your home, which you have to consider the risk to yourself, the harm, not caring about the person that's breaking in, that's their own fault. But are you going to take that risk yourself of starting a firefight in the middle of your home? Or are you just going to exit and get out?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think some ways to protect yourself there is you maybe have like a dummy room with like light stock. So
Sure.
people get in, they can get some of the supplies, and then they can get out, and you have all of your other stuff. And that brings me to the point of not keeping all of, your eggs in the same basket. You want to have different locations, cache, or have some at a workplace or something like that, so you don't lose everything in case something like this happens. And then the items that I was mentioning, I looked up. Have you ever seen like the buddy bar or the master lock bar that like wedges against the door handle?
Mm-hmm.
They have some pretty freaking cool ones.
Yeah, they do.
They're not that expensive. They look like what's the one they put on the car?
The club.
The club. Yeah.
Yep.
Basically, they have ones that are like 1,500 pounds to
That's gonna
somebody
be
trying
heavy
to
to get in your
breach the
house.
door. Yeah. Yeah. No.
Got to get the whole neighborhood to get it in your house.
1,500 pounds of pressure like
get
that they can withstand.
Yeah.
Stop making these points that I'm not mentioning. People will understand.
I know, it's just too much fun.
1,500 pound to carry that in. What was the breach bar thing that you had mentioned? The door frame system that you can get so that people can't break through.
It's basically just a
Can't remember the brand that you had mentioned.
Oh crap! I don't remember. You can get them like at Lowe's. Basically, it's just a reinforcement of the door frame where the
So they can't just kick it in.
they can't
and
just
bust
kick
the
it in.
wood.
Yeah, it makes it metal. It has longer screws and all these, and it's like $80.
Yeah,
for your door.
I don't think my back door has it. My front has a better reinforcement, but those are simple things that don't look all tacky. It doesn't look like even an iron door in the front.
Or you can just have like some extra wood in the
Inside your house.
Yeah, or no, even just in the
2x4
garage, and then you just zzz, on the door. You know what I mean?
Like signs. where
Yeah,
they
exactly.
Nailed everything up.
Yeah.
And that's a good idea for securing all the main exits.
Yes.
So you can't ever get out or people get in.
Exactly.
And then another item I thought was pretty sweet is they have a wedge door stop security alarm. So it's just a regular one, and when the door swings, when somebody kind of tries to bust it open, it hits an alarm. That's enough to scare somebody away most of the time. Mm-hmm. But second, it can give you an idea where it at.
Yeah, a lot of people will use those like when they're traveling.
Yeah, that's what I think most of them are for. Yeah, and then you can even get it's like $11, and it goes over the lock system in wherever you're going to stay. If you're going to stay in an Airbnb and things like that, it's not what we're talking about today, but those things can be used on the doors that you haven't secured.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a bedroom door or something like that, it's just like a little plate that goes over the regular lock system, and you can have like a chain lock.
Yeah.
Simple as that. It's like $10 on Amazon.
For sure.
But I really like the wedge door security one because if you lose power, that thing's going to work no matter what.
Yeah.
And then there's also regular security system cameras and different surveillance that is like a closed loop, so you're not connected to the internet. It gets really, really technical, but you just got to look at these things of how I can keep a security system in my house, protect, those inside my gear, and how I would either defend it or kind of distract and lead them into a place that just would, get them in, they can get a few things and get out, and you don't have to worry about even interacting with
exactly. And don't overlook
engaging
the security system, because 99% of situations, the security system is going to be one of the biggest things you can do.
Right.
Seriously, because somebody comes and they see that you have a security system. Screw that. I'm going to the house next door that doesn't have one. Obviously in a long-term SHTF situation, that is less important, but it still is valuable. But most of the time, these SHTF situations aren't going to be, the end of the world apocalypse. No. It's like maybe there's some local looting or rioting for several days or whatever it is, but they see that they're going to go somewhere else most of the time. Yeah. Right? So,
and that's also why some of these neighborhood security plans that you're going to talk about exist now is just for regular, everyday neighborhood watch. And so talking to your neighborhood members about this kind of stuff just ahead of time is good, because when it gets to that point, you're all going to be much more ready.
Yep.
But anyway, those are a few basic things you can do to kind of check over, make sure your house is ready, make sure that you have supplies set up to be able to keep yourself safe, keep your gear safe, and if you have to actually deal with somebody breaking in, you've got a whole plan set up to deal with that.
Absolutely. So then, at this point, you've got your home security, your personal place worked out, most likely, right? So now it's the time to sort of move on to that next layer, which is that neighborhood security. And we said this, why should you even consider like a total neighborhood security plan? Because, in a bad emergency or an SHDF situation, you're going to have safety in numbers no matter what. The more people that you have working together, the better off you're going to be, right? In most situations. And then we've talked about this several times when it comes to prepper groups. I mean, this basically comes back to having a prepper group, but they all live right in the same place, right? In any given neighborhood, you're going to have former military or current military. You're going to have doctors, nurses, any kind of medical people, engineers, preppers, martial artists, seamstresses, cooks, mechanics, electricians, plumbers, influencers,
work from
podcasters,
home, online marketing.
Exactly. But I mean, that's the thing. You're going to draw on all those people's strengths to help everybody, right? And so that's, again, another reason to try and look at this neighborhood security. All those skills can be helped to use the whole, and you're in close quarters with these people, so your situations at most of the time is going to be the same, right? If there's a flood, most of you are going to be dealing with it. If there's rioters, most of you are going to be dealing with it. So it makes sense to try and work together.
And people talk or ask us constantly about like setting up a prepper group, and there's different ways to do that.
Yeah.
You can get a lot of information from people that are in different places and forums, but really, when it comes down to, like you said, you're going to be dealing with a scenario where those that are like most like in close proximity to you, you're going to all work together. So it's probably better to form some kind of a group that's
right there,
all going to be in the same situation.
Exactly. And then when it comes to a long-term event, and as it becomes more critical to work together as supplies become scarce and more issues arise as the time continues to pass in a SHDF situation, you're going to be super glad that you've worked something out beforehand, and not trying to do this after the fact, right? That's where it gets hard. But a neighborhood watch, we're going to talk about that quite a bit, or even, some sort of natural disaster preparedness as a group. It can be hugely beneficial to you as a prepper and hugely beneficial to the neighborhood as a whole. But, there are benefits and drawbacks like all things. So you have to start looking at what those are. And there's going to be some issues that arise. And what is your neighborhood attitude? What is, the overall, you can probably guess this at, right now. Are they going to be cooperative if you go out and say, hey, let's start a neighborhood watch, or let's talk about what would happen if there's a flood. How could we help each other? You can probably understand what that's going to be right away, but you can't necessarily rule out that they wouldn't be cooperative. You might think they wouldn't be, but a lot of people will probably surprise you. They would be interested in if it benefits them and if it benefits their family. They might talk to you and say, hey, okay, let's figure something out, But you have to worry about, are your neighbors trustworthy? Because that's where it gets scary, Do you live in a place that has, gang members? Obviously, that's not a great place to live, for one thing. Convicted felons, sex offenders,
and that's
jewelers.
The one thing, like I said, I have that app that tells me when new sex offenders move in within a proximity. It's good to know. It sucks for them, and I feel bad, but at the same time, I'm going to have a little bit of hesitation on trusting that person because of past discretions.
Absolutely. And so that's something you have to think about. Is everybody idiots that live next to you? Because that could also be an issue. Is there a bunch of old people? Because those people are going to be less helpful.
Yeah, don't worry about them.
They're a bunch of Bears fans. I just had to throw that
That's
one in.
That's probably true.
I had to throw that one in for camp.
There isn't any new Bears fans anymore.
Yeah. So, if you live in a neighborhood that maybe isn't as cooperative, there's a lot of sex offenders. If every other house is a sex offender, are you a sex offender?
Yeah.
Because you might want to look at for another neighborhood, right?
Well, you do have to consider those things, because there's some neighborhoods where maybe they're just barely getting by, and people have been helping them. They're probably going to be the first that are going to do the most extreme to keep alive, too. So That's why I think all this is good too. It's like if everybody tried to be prepared, then you're not having to worry about your other neighbors being desperate and causing you all this problem.
Yeah, so the big thing is just being prepared beforehand. You've got to do all this planning before something happens. Well, we'll talk about that because it might be easier if something does happen, but you have to think about that.
Neighborhood riot.
Yeah, exactly. But a really good place to start with all of this is forming a neighborhood watch. And this is something that you can introduce that probably won't scare people as bad, right? You don't look like
a neighborhood watch that you can all communicate.
What time is it? Look at the neighborhood watch.
Yes.
But, neighborhood watch programs, they're basically a group of organized residents in a small community or a specific number of blocks that are working together to make their area safer in conjunction with local law enforcement agencies. So members of the neighborhood watch are striving toward the same goal, making where they live as safe as it possibly can be from threats of criminal activity. So it's just a great way to start getting your neighborhood on the same page, thinking about the safety of the neighborhood. And then you can we'll talk about this, but you can kind of assess which group members might be more, receptive to talking about like a SHTF plan, right?
Yeah. You've got the high alert ones that freak out about everything. Like Tawny will get texts in the Facebook, be like, there was a man by the mailbox yesterday. I've never seen him in our neighborhood. Watch out.
Yeah. He was in a mail truck, but I don't know.
Wasn't... The colors didn't match UPS or USPS, so I don't know.
Be on the lookout.
Yeah,
I called the police.
But it is nice that we have that system. Like our neighborhoods are, our neighbors are usually watching out for anybody. I think I've been called out as being suspect. He's got a yellow truck. Yeah. He's old. He didn't fit into our neighborhood.
Doesn't pay attention to anything ever.
He's usually driving in the neighborhood about 45 miles per hour.
Yeah. Old truck spitting, smoke all
super
over.
Loud.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, networking with law enforcement through a neighborhood watch program will get everyone better acquainted with those who protect and serve them now. So that's a good thing too, is to understand how the, law enforcement, does things over there. So these types of groups can help you to introduce some more advanced type prepping strategies for the neighborhood. And like I said, and as well as find out who will be the most interested. This will also keep criminals out of your neighborhood now and in an emergency because you put up those neighborhood watch signs. Again, that's one more thing to deter criminals and deter rioters and all those types of things. So it only helps.
Neighborhood watch chief. Put that in your
there is like
front
a whole
yard
hierarchy of like neighborhood watch people. It's kind of funny. I didn't put it in here,
That'd be
but
cool.
Yeah, it really would. So it will help you and your neighbors to feel better acquainted. That's one thing, and it will build a sense of belonging and friendship, which means they're more likely to help in an SHTF situation than hinder in an SHTF situation.
Right.
Most neighborhood watches have a communications plan. So most of them will get like two-way radios for it. They'll have some sort of like a texting tree or a texting group for the neighborhood and phone calls. So again, it's one more way to get everybody on the same page with communications. So if something does happen more like as an SHTF issue or an emergency, you have those communications already in place. So you could say, I'm going to send it out to the neighborhood text, So it gets you even a little bit more further along with something like this.
What was the event? Do you remember? I remember like specifically as a church, we set up this plan of like two men would go and like check on the one neighbor. Did you ever set that up?
Mm-mm.
I can't remember what it was in Logan.
Oh,
when
really?
I was living there in Utah, but anyways, the point being, like, I thought it was pretty cool that we had set up a plan as like if we couldn't communicate with this certain person, that two other men would go over there to check on them.
The home
and it
teacher.
was just like, it's basically what it was.
Yeah,
but it was like not for that reason, but it was like when you can't communicate by regular means of cell phone or service like that, you had a plan set up to where two people would go together and check on that person and make sure that nothing was going on with their house or somebody wasn't, they weren't held hostage or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was like, that goes along with this kind of setup of
absolutely
like having a plan as your neighbors working together to like check on each other.
Yeah, that's all you're doing here with this neighborhood watch thing. And usually they'll distribute
in everybody's home.
Yeah, they'll distribute a neighborhood map because there's like ways that they walk around the neighborhood if stuff happens, right? So again, it's always a plus to have more information in your hands before that kind of stuff happens. So
That's why I'm thankful I have a wife, because I don't remember any of my neighbors' names.
I don't either.
They're like, the Petersons down there. I'm like, who's that?
Who's that?
They're next door to us.
They've lived here for 6 years. I don't know who
They
they
helped
are.
us move in.
I don't know who it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe get a name list to start.
My wife gets so mad at me because I don't
Mine does,
remember
too.
anybody's name.
I'm like, I don't know. I can recognize his face.
Yeah.
I know he's part of our
You
neighborhood.
taught class with him for 3 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know who
He's
it
been
is.
a patient of yours for 15 years.
You do a podcast with him. His name's Kobe. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does he need?
What does he want? The outline?
What does he need?
He wants the outline.
Well, let me
first?
guess. He stopped you and asked for an outline.
Yeah, prick.
That son of a...
So there's some caveats to this. It might be hard to get people to want to do a neighborhood watch. So if something does happen in like if there's a break-in in the neighborhood, or some sort of a flood or a natural disaster, or there's some sort of crime that happens, use that as a jumping off point to get something like this going, because that's when people are going to be most receptive to something like a neighborhood watch, because something just happens that people start freaking out. They want to do something, and that there's a finite time where they have that motivation to actually get out there and do something. So you kind of want to take advantage of it when something happens. So just think about that. So moving forward in your neighborhood protection plan, I found this article, and I just want to put a caveat on this because it was from ammoland.com for one thing. So this goes into building your NPP, your neighborhood protection plan. So take this with the thought of knowing who this is coming from. There's some really good points in here, but much of it is very firearms related.
Yeah.
Once you put anything that says security and prepping, you get this is where like the gun
protection.
preppers really shine, and that's great because that's where they're the best at. So just know that that's a lot of what we're going to get into here, but you don't necessarily have to have that as your focus. So they laid out a plan to get this NPP going. Number one, get started. 1 or 2 self-starters need to get the ball rolling. So this is going to have to be you probably making that happen. Number 2 is to get help. Move that to 4 or 5 neighbors. Explain what you're doing and get them to help you. This is super important. You must have help and more help. And then you want to call this group the moderators, they're saying. This is the moderators, okay? And then the moderators are going to survey your neighbors. You're going to divide up the neighborhood. Survey all the neighbors with the NPP survey questionnaire and address checklist. So I found one of these online, and I can't imagine actually passing this out to my neighbors, but this is kind of what it says. So it's an information sheet that you would pass out. They put their name, they put their email, they put their address and their phone numbers. And on the top, it says, this is for, this is going to be held in the strictest of confidence by the Neighborhood Protection Plan leadership and council. Okay, this is getting really, really like serious, right?
I think you would want to build up to this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You don't want to just move into the neighborhood and start passing these out. You got to work up to these things.
Hey,
right?
thanks for coming over and helping us move in. Will you fill this out?
Fill this
for me?
out. Get it back to me by 5, please.
Thank you.
So
Attach a picture of all your family members, please.
Clothed and naked. Send it in. Gotta know both.
I need to recognize a bareback.
Yeah. You run out of the shower, gotta know who you are. This is just for emergency purposes
Get
only.
your girl beard too, and have no beard and beard.
Beard, no beard.
All the different types.
Yeah. So it has their basic information on the top, and then it has a checklist.
Naked and clothed.
It has a checklist.
This may seem weird,
This may seem weird, but
I
it's
really need to know.
crucial. And it says, check the following areas if you have any training or expertise in them. And there's a little checklist that goes down. And then it says military training, law enforcement, firearms, medical, radio communications,
Like
electronics.
how military was like the very first one.
Oh, I know, that's what I'm saying. And then it's firefighting and prevention, food storage and preparations training, construction experience, nutrition and cooking expertise, gardening, fishing, hunting knowledge, vehicle repair knowledge, chemistry training or education. That's an interesting one to have on there.
Yeah, I got a chem set when I was 10.
Yeah, I don't know.
Pretty good at it.
How good do you know the periodic table? How good are you at that?
Give me the first 5.
Yeah, what is it? And then it says,
I'm going to give you a density, and I want you to give me...
give me the atomic number of iron right now.
Get out of here.
Yeah, get out of here. And then it says information about your health and fitness. And then it says age, and then health issues, and then there's some other stuff below that I couldn't see in this picture. But so that's a sort of thing that you could pass out among these people, depending on
Which would be extremely helpful,
Yeah.
but
good luck.
Yeah.
I can't imagine handing this to my wife. You just filled out for us real quick.
What's your main bank
Yeah.
and your main
Social security number.
list all of your diagnoses.
So anyways, that's something you could do at this point, but just know that that's going to be a tough go. Not going to be easy. Then it says
I'm gonna get
moderators.
a big old cork board ready and
I
just
know,
like
huh?
pin the top members that are
with their
healthy and have
picture- with their pictures on there.
CEO a lot of
And
money.
then yarn to something in
Yep.
the middle. You know?
A gun.
Yeah.
Yarn to a gun. Yarn to.
A garden. Bag of seeds.
She's great for this.
She can cook. That's about it.
Quilts.
Yeah.
Quilt expert.
Gonna be a problem.
Clothing.
That's
a different cork board.
Yeah.
Target list.
That's on a whiteboard.
Yeah, that.
Then number 4 is moderators hold your first meeting. Have the first meeting to explain the purpose of the neighborhood protection plan and select candidates for leaders. Then the moderates are going to verify that the candidates for the leaders' experience, and then you're going to hold a second meeting to elect leaders. I mean, this is a process. Elect the primary and secondary NPP leaders at your second meeting. Number 7, leaders and group members leaders should approach your police department and attempt to work alongside your current neighborhood watch program if there is one. Proceed with or without police department cooperation or approval. So
Proceed with or without.
With or without. So
I'd sure want them to be
so I don't
understanding of it.
I don't know how they could disapprove of you having a neighborhood protection program, but it is.
Yeah,
what
it ain't
is.
gonna happen.
Nah.
As a matter of fact, hand over all your lists so we can look through them.
Yeah, you're done. You're done in here. Go back to
Give
your house.
me your badge.
I want your gun and your badge right now. You're on the edge.
We are the law. You are not.
Man,
yeah, it'd be so interesting to
oh my
see
gosh,
this
I
list.
can't imagine going through this with my neighbors.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Everybody, take your 22 ammo on the table and your hat, and we'll talk next week.
Take your grab bags. It's got ammo. It's got tourniquets.
It's got a gun cleaning kit.
Seeds.
It's got gun oil.
Yeah.
It's
And a Tac Pack sticker.
got seeds and a hunting hat.
Yeah. It's got the pictures of you naked on the front. That's how you know whose is whose.
Let's shuffle these around and see if you can identify whose family belongs to who.
And so the next thing you got to do is classify the group members and select section and junior leaders. So, I mean, this thing goes insane. Determine the size of the MPP and where protective perimeters, guard posts, entry-exit control points, kill zones, secondary fighting positions will all be. So this is where you're... I know. That's what I'm telling you.
It's super detailed.
Yeah.
Better than I've seen.
This is why I preface this is where it came from. And
Community garden, kill zone. Don't get them mixed up.
she might just be picking some plums. Don't kill her. That's over here.
John, you had an incident yesterday where you fired on 2 individuals picking corn.
Yeah.
We can't have that.
That's unfortunate. You're out of the group.
Let's vote if we keep the community garden in the same place.
I move that we just store ammo over there. Can I get a second on that one?
Those 5 gallons are not for fruit or vegetables. Those are Tenorite, okay?
Then you got to ask each group member to give an honest list of what they have for personal supplies and equipment. You'll notice that this is not in the group member information form. Revealing what you have for food, equipment, and supplies is a sensitive issue with most people,
Of course.
especially firearms.
Especially preppers.
Find out what each group member will allow others to use as communal equipment and supplies. Inform each group member what they must have as minimums for equipment and supplies, and get assurances that they will start accumulating these required items.
Firearms, no. Children, yes.
Yeah.
You can use them as you will.
Do what you need to.
Have them work and whatever you need.
Yeah, and then you start assigning duties to each group member, and then the leaders need to make a written NPP so you get this all down on paper. And then equipment and supplies need to be purchased for the communal NPP, and each group member needs to start storing food, water, and ammunition. So you got to get money from them too, which is good luck.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like people get pissed off paying HOA dues even when they're low, right? Although I think if we could take that money and use it towards this, it'd probably be better spent.
It would be.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you yet figured out how that's spent? That one.
Water in the grass. That's what I've gotten from mine. Put your written plan to the test by training exercises. Firearm safety and basic marksmanship must be started first and last and middle. Have a function monthly so all group members can keep in contact and be ready. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's how you
If you
get
hear
it done.
3 shots in the air, first wave goes in. And you're part of the first wave, you're part of the first wave.
And so they talked about supplies, and there are several sites that mentioned some supplies to be getting together as a neighborhood for this security plan. Again, good luck making this happen. I don't get it. We're going to talk about it, but it's not going to be easy. Weapons and ammo. You got to be able to defend yourselves in certain
I think
situations.
you can take this plan and customize it to be like more, low key.
Maybe
like,
maybe
you just
there's
want to talk about
yeah.
food storage
Yeah.
and like, make sure everybody's planned. I don't care what you have. Just make sure you're all getting ready for that.
Well, if you're like I talked about, if you're in an area that's prone to flooding, then that's a great thing to talk about. These floods happen every year.
Yeah.
What can we do as a neighborhood to be ready for these?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a good
probably
thing.
a more comfortable
But again, we're
approach.
talking about security here anyways,
Yeah.
so we need
You
to
had
be
to throw that in.
specific with this. So weapons and ammo, you got to be able to defend yourself in certain situations. So making sure you have that 5.56, that's what you got to do. Communications, 2 ways for the neighborhood and a plan to use them is super important. Also, like a group text would be great. Food and water. Again, I don't know how you're going to do this as a community, as a group. It's going to be tough, but there's probably ways to do it depending on your situation. But make sure everybody at least has some food storage and some water. Is there a community garden for everybody, like you were saying? Also, is there backup water supply nearby? Is there a well in the neighborhood that people can utilize? So you can talk about those things. Get some binos because you got to have that recon. You got to be able to on the lookout. Chainsaws. If storms happen, those are great. But also if you need to build like roadblocks or something in your neighborhood, you got those. Shovels, again,
Just park your
storms.
cars, block the neighborhood.
Yep, storms for shovels. You got to build cat holes or trenches, whatever you got to do. Do that.
Latrine.
Yep, sandbags, again, crucial if there's flooding, but you could use those for, barriers and other things as well. Power, if there a prolonged outage hits, who has generators and how can you benefit the whole neighborhood with these? Extra fuel.
Daisy chain them all.
Yep, extra fuel. Night vision. One site said this is the single most important thing you can have.
Wow.
And so I thought I better at least put it on the list. So that was one. Drones, they could be
Just
great.
walking around with night vision on night. Hey, Jim, how you doing?
How you doing? How's the kids doing? Drones, they can be great for recon.
They can be.
Yeah, and then medical supplies. So, again, I got to say this much. I watched a bunch of videos, and the people that talk about neighborhood security on YouTube.
A bit intense.
Oh, yeah. So, the 3 of them that I saw all had guns on them at the time of filming, for one thing. What? I know. So, just know that this gets very serious for some people, but those are the people, I guess, that you want handling security for something like this, for a bad situation. But, again, I don't know. So, if a major event does occur...
Keep your kids close.
Yes. Looting...
I'm going to go over... No, you're going to get shot.
You're going to die. Looting, rioting, or issues arise, you need to immediately secure the neighborhood. Because this is what we're talking about. We're talking about security. Here are some things to consider. Have you ever heard of the 5 Ds of security? This ain't the double Ds. This is the 5 Ds, Cam. The first D is deter. And you talked about kind of this thing when you were talking about the nuclear zones, or what were you talking about? I can't remember.
No, I don't either.
But the number 1 is deter. So the deter perimeter is the furthest one out from the location of the assets and is often a mix of physical infrastructure, like fencing and lighting. And the security objective on this perimeter is to deter the criminal from even attempting a breach of your system.
So that's the time.
Yes. Signs
Delay
saying
them.
like no trespassing or area under surveillance, also aid in communicating a deterrent message to the people. The second one is detect. The detection perimeter security objective is to monitor large areas of space to accurately detect possible unauthorized intrusion in time to respond appropriately. So surveillance cameras, high megapixel cameras, they're very effective as detection tools. Deny. The objective at the deny perimeter is to keep unauthorized persons out while allowing authorized persons to enter. And we'll talk about this in a minute. Like one of those S roadblocks. Have you seen those where you know it doesn't? You know, you have to slow down and go around it. That's like a deny.
Yeah, they like staggers. Yeah,
and then maybe a gate or something like that. And then delay. The delay perimeter's objective is to slow down an active intrusion enough to force the intruder to give up or to allow the security team to respond, right? So interior locking doors or other physical barriers are used to slow down something like this. And the last is defend. This perimeter is typically a security personnel response that attempts to apprehend the intruder. The final perimeter often includes the involvement of law enforcement or your, military guy that's head of security in the HOA, those types of things. So here's a few other things to think about as this is going down. Close off your main entrances to the neighborhood. You can use a lot of different things to do this, but the easiest is use vehicles themselves.
Yeah.
You can also utilize the garbage cans because those things are huge, and you fill them up with water or dirt or whatever, and those are great barriers. You can pull in old trailers. You can, unload your Christmas decorations and use the totes, fill those up with rocks and put them like there's so many things you can do, but you have to close off the road because that's the easiest place of entry. And we talked about this S barrier to help slow people down as they enter. So you can have someone at the S barrier making sure that whoever's coming in should be coming in. Number 2 is to establish moving ground patrols 24/7 with random patterns and time intervals because you don't want people to know your patterns, right? Tree and rooftop patrols. This is going to be hard to get people in trees and on rooftops and not get shot off the rooftop, but that's one thing they say to do. Foxhole security guards. So you got to get some foxholes, apparently. That's where the shovels come in. Get the names of everyone who lives in the community and let no one in or out without verification. That should be part of your plan before you start to have all the names and pictures and all that kind of stuff. This says to cover the border fence tops with cement and broken glass. So jumping the fence is tough.
Ooh, jeez.
I know. And then consider sharing extra weapons to supply patrols with weaponry, all those kind of things. So, and you can use like extra fencing between houses if you need to make sure that the perimeter is secure all the way around. So, there's so many different things you can do, but that is sort of like the basics of this neighborhood security. But I think the best thing to take from this is looking to start small and to start now. With something like a neighborhood watch, because your benefits are just going to be huge from that moving forward. So,
right.
I think a neighborhood watch is a great place to start.
Yeah, I think it is too. You really do got to get more involved with, like even for example, like my neighbor next door. We've talked about this kind of thing, and we try and give each other a heads up when there's sales on food storage stuff. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Wise Foods has a sale on milk and stuff. Go get that. Just those kind of things kind of help develop a plan to make your neighborhood more efficient, more safe, and things like that. So
absolutely.
But
that's all I got, though. You got anything else?
That's a lot of. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I think you should follow that plan to a T.
Yeah, I just can't imagine.
I think you print that out,
handing that paper out, and
I know
going for it.
That's crazy. People even assume that would be like.
But again, it depends on your situation. If you have 2 or 3 neighbors, it's just like 3 of you, and you're all really like-minded. You might be able to make that work.
I think you could make that work. Yeah.
In a neighborhood like mine where there's like 50 houses.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know who any of them are.
Yeah, I know 4 people in the neighborhood, and so that's going to be tough.
Right.
But you just have to look at it and do what you do.
Yeah.
Boo.
Yeah. Consider them to be a help. That's pretty
absolutely.
much it.
Guys, today's podcast is brought to you by TacPack, the only monthly tactical subscription box with useful professional-grade stuff inside. Use our code CasualPreppers and get a free separate bag sent of EDC gear along with your first month's TacPack. Head to TacPack.com, use that code CasualPreppers. You got an AR, you like EDC gear. This is the subscription box for you. It just really is.
Yeah.
It's time for the quick and dirty medical tip.
So, I don't have one today.
Okay.
And I was like, I think we're going to kind of go long on this, but we didn't as much. So, anyways, all I'd say, stay healthy out there. Watch out for Omicron. It's coming to get you.
It is, isn't it?
So
you're going to be gotten by it.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
So, yeah. Anyways, take care of yourselves out there. That's all I have to say.
Take care of yourself. Okay.
I didn't ever plan anything.
That's all right. We're good to go. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. Appreciate you guys subscribing. Please share us with your friends, neighbors, family, your neighborhood SHTF security team. Whatever you got to do, just get us out there. And please go check out our sponsors, Battlebox, Tac Pack, Surfshark. Go check them out, please. It really helps us out when you do. So
It sure does.
thank you and stay survived.